In a small village by the river, there lived a boy named Rohan. He was 12 years old, full of energy, and always curious about the world around him. Rohan had a dream: to become the fastest runner in the village. Every year, the village held a big race during the spring festival, and Rohan wanted to win more than anything. But there was one problem. Rohan wasn't very fast. In fact, he was one of the slowest runners among his friends. Whenever he tried to run, his legs would feel heavy and he would fall behind. His friends often laughed and said, "Rohan, you'll never win the race. Why do you even try?" Rohan felt sad when he heard those words, but he didn't stop dreaming. Deep inside, he believed that if he worked hard and never gave up, he could achieve his goal. One day, Rohan sat by the river, skipping stones across the water. His grandfather, an old man with a kind smile and wise eyes, came and sat next to him. "Why do you look so sad, Rohan?" his grandfather asked. Rohan sighed. "Grandpa, everyone says I can't win the race. They say I'm too slow." His grandfather chuckled and said, "Do you know how the river carves through rocks?" Rohan shook his head. "It's not because the river is strong, but because it keeps flowing no matter what. It never stops, even when it faces big rocks or sharp turns. If you keep trying, just like the river, you'll find a way to reach your goal. Remember, Rohan, never give up." Those words stayed with Rohan. He decided that he would work harder than ever before. The next morning, Rohan woke up early, even before the sun rose. He tied his old running shoes and went outside to practice. The air was cool, and the village was still asleep. Rohan started running. At first, he could only run for a few minutes before he felt tired. His legs ached and his chest burned, but he didn't stop. Every day, he pushed himself a little more. He ran through the fields, along the river, and up the small hill near his village. Sometimes, he stumbled and fell. Sometimes, he felt like giving up. But then he remembered his grandfather's words, "Keep flowing like the river." Slowly, Rohan began to improve. He could run longer distances without stopping. His legs grew stronger, and his steps became quicker. As the spring festival approached, Rohan faced new challenges. One day, while practicing, a group of boys from the village saw him running. They started laughing and said, "Look at Rohan. Do you really think you can win? You're wasting your time." Rohan felt his face grow hot with embarrassment. For a moment, he wanted to quit, but then he thought about all the mornings he had spent training, all the times he had fallen and gotten back up. He took a deep breath and said to himself, "I won't give up." He kept running, ignoring the boys' laughter. Finally, the day of the big race arrived. The entire village gathered in the open field to watch. Colorful flags waved in the breeze, and the air was filled with excitement. Rohan stood at the starting line with the other runners. His heart was pounding. He looked around and saw his friends, his parents, and his grandfather in the crowd. They all smiled and cheered for him. The race began. The runners took off like arrows, their feet pounding against the ground. Rohan ran as fast as he could, but soon he found himself at the back of the group. "Don't give up, Rohan," his grandfather shouted from the sidelines. Rohan remembered his training. He focused on his breathing, kept his pace steady, and pushed forward. Slowly, he started catching up to the others. The race was long and tough. There were steep hills and muddy paths. Some runners became too tired and stopped. Others slipped and fell, but Rohan kept going. He thought about all the mornings he had trained, all the times he had fallen and gotten back up. As he approached the final stretch of the race, he saw the finish line in the distance. Only 2 runners were ahead of him now. His legs felt like they were on fire, but he didn't stop. With one last burst of energy, Rohan sprinted as fast as he could. The crowd cheered loudly as he passed one runner and then the other. Rohan crossed the finish line, his heart racing and his legs trembling. He couldn't believe it. He had won. The crowd erupted in cheers. His friends, who had once laughed at him, ran up to congratulate him. "We were wrong, Rohan. You never gave up, and you did it," they said. His grandfather hugged him and said, "I knew you could do it. You flowed like the river, and you reached your goal." Rohan's victory wasn't just about winning the race. It was about proving to himself and to others that hard work, determination, and the belief in yourself can overcome any obstacle. From that day on, whenever Rohan faced a challenge, he remembered the lesson he had learned: never give up. And just like Rohan, we can all achieve our dreams if we keep trying, no matter how hard it seems. And now I have a question for you. What can we learn from Rohan's story? I would love to hear your answer. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more English learning videos and stories.